Welcome to this episode of the Conscious Business Coffee Break, where we take a few moments to explore what's happening in the conscious business movement, expand awareness, and support your efforts in conscious business. Greetings, everyone. My name is Stephen Donaco of the Conscious Business Enterprise, a division of Humanities team. And on today's program, we'll talk about the consequences of business owning the consequences of its customers. And the link that I'll put in the comments to the video is a editorial piece by Dan Rather, who is the director of a news channel called News and Guts. And he wrote about the Wall Street's bailing out of the Remington Gun Company and recent events around that. So basically, to summarize it, the Remington's arms company had suffered a dive in sales after one of its weapons was used in the 2012 Newtown, Connecticut school shooting massacre at Sandy Hook School. And subsequent to that event, some of the families filed a lawsuit against Remington, the gun maker, which negatively impacted the sales. And in the wake of that, the company found it difficult to find banks and other financial institutions to lend it money. So at least 30 banks in the wake of Sandy Hook turned down Remington for loans. However, last Thursday on May 17th, 9 Wall Street financial firms and banks teamed up to basically bail Remington out from bankruptcy. So 2 firms floated Remington a $75 million loan, and then 7 other banks agreed to extend the line of credits to the company worth $193 million. And also, as part of that deal, one of the firms agreed to forgive Remington's debt for an equity stake, an ownership stake in the company. I'm not mentioning any of the companies in this program. You can actually watch Dan Rather's video, which I'm linking to, and he mentions all the companies if you're curious. But this is not the point of, I don't want to get into naming individual companies. I'm going to get to the point of this in a moment. In Dan's Rather's editorial, he said, getting into the gun business means more than owning a gun maker. It means owning the consequences. And then 24 hours after this deal was struck with the gun maker and these financial institutions, in Santa Fe, Texas, a 17-year-old student brought a Remington gun into the school and killed 10 people. So I was looking at all of this in relation to the Conscious Business Declaration. Now, let me preface all this by saying to the best of my knowledge, none of these banks signed the declaration. I could be wrong, but even if they have, they're not operating in the spirit of the declaration. But let's just assume none of these firms have signed the declaration. But I want to look at it from this perspective because, our vision for the Conscious Business Declaration is that every business is a conscious business and becomes a conscious business. So if we as conscious people, conscious business people, conscious professionals, if we are seeking an expanded consciousness in the business world, believing that business is among the greatest forces for good, let us always be mindful of the declaration and continue to hold the consciousness of the declaration as we ponder what's happening out there in the world of business. So there are 3 principles of the declaration that I look at through the lens of this event, this Remington gunmaker deal. And one is that we are one with humanity in all of life. Business and all institutions of the human community are integral parts of a single reality, interrelated, interconnected, and interdependent. So a bank is an institution of the human community. And one of the things that people say a lot, so one of the reactions to this might be, well, it's not personal, it's business. And I think that's a complete cop-out. As long as there are people doing business, as long as there are people starting businesses, and as long as people are patronizing business and people are closing business deals, business is completely personal. So we can't remove the impact that business has, the ripple impact it has uh, on humanity, on society, on our communities. Uh, the second principle of the Declaration is, in line with this reality of oneness, the purpose of business is to increase economic prosperity while contributing to a healthy environment and improving human well-being. And I'm going to qualify environment by saying it's not just the natural environment, but it's also the social environment. So if a business is lending to any kind of firm that is potentially harming the natural environment or the social environment, it's not in alignment with the principles of the Conscious Business Declaration or the principles of expanding consciousness and life. And then the fifth principle, which is the other one that I'm looking at this through, is that business must behave as a positive and proactive member of the local and global communities in which it operates. So if we were looking at this situation with Remington and comparing it against Principle 5, we might say, well, this gun company, and regardless of what your politics are, so I'm not arguing Second Amendment stuff here, but just that if a company is producing something that's been harmful and not promoting the virtue of life and a safe and healthy community, business, a conscious business, has a role in understanding how its products and services might be contributing to those negative ripple effects. Be a positive and proactive member of the local and global community in which you operate. And if you're a firm that's bailing out a business, so in this case, the banks, you are owning the consequences of that. It's pretty plain and simple, according to Dan Rather and what he mentions in his editorial. So business is personal, and the impact of what businesses' customers do in the environment, the social environment, the natural environment, etc. These are all things that are important for us to continue to monitor. And as we go forward and do conscious business, practice being conscious business professionals, it's essential that we are always looking at our business through the lens of the 7 principles of the Conscious Business Declaration, so that we are in alignment with oneness, that we are in alignment with the life affirmative nature of humanity, and that we are truly taking business personally, because we are all persons doing business. So I leave you with that, and I appreciate you all watching and soaking this one in. This is a very highly charged issue, and I'm grateful to have the opportunity to look at this through a conscious business lens, because it's essential. So thanks for joining me today. We'll see you again on Friday, 9 a.m. U.S. Central Time for another edition of the Conscious Business Coffee Break. Have a great day, everyone.